Just behind me is this year's trial investigating the use of mineral oils for the control of poty virus in potato seed crops. The trial is funded by AHDB and a repeat of it will be carried out in Scotland next year. The trial consists of bait plots, which are healthy seed potatoes, and runs of an infector with a high level of potato virus Y strain N running alongside each plot. Now, mineral oils have shown some benefit in reducing the level of poty virus in seed crops in work that was done 4 or 5 years ago, but there was a lot of variability between years and between sites, and in some instances there was no control at all. And perhaps one of the reasons for that variability was the lack of very early sprays going on shortly after emergence. So in this trial we've focused on putting sprays on just at 30% emergence, and then they've been done weekly after that, and they've gone on time despite some rather windy conditions out here. We have a series of programs, and just to take you through the treatments, in addition to the plots that are going to be left untreated, we have a full insecticide program applied every 2 weeks, and that is what a grower would be allowed to do currently. So we're using approved products, label recommendations, and we're adding in additional insecticides based on the yellow water trap catches that you can see at each corner of the trial. And we've had some very high Mysis persicae catches in the early part of this trial, over 800 in one trap count in week of 28th of May. So the aphid pressure, the vector pressure, has been very high indeed. So in addition to a straightforward insecticide program, we've then got various combinations of mineral oils and some cultural control approaches. So we're actually using OLH applied weekly, and it also has the insecticide program overlaid on top of it. Now, OLH is not available for use in the UK at present, but it was used in the previous project, and we're putting it in this one to get some comparability with previous work. We've then moved to looking at crop spray 11E, which you can use up to tuber initiation, and that's gone on, and we're now switching into an insecticide program after tuber initiation. And then we're looking at a new oil spray called Reaper, which is approved for use in France, and has given some very effective control, some very impressive data coming from France. So we wait to see what happens over here. And we've got weekly sprays of Reaper, just straightforward right through until green tissue disappears after burn off. And then we've got Reaper plus the insecticide program to see whether the addition of insecticides will help a mineral oil program. And then we have 2 new approaches which are more cultural in their function, and those are the use of straw laid between the plot rows, and this is meant to reduce the contrast between the ground, the bare soil, and the crop, and that reduction in contrast makes it harder for the aphids to find and land on the green crop leaves. and that's being used in conjunction with Reaper as well. And then finally we have an intercrop which is using vetch sown between the rows, and that may act as a barrier to aphid movement or as a sort of stylet wiping effect. So those two approaches, which could be relatively easy to use for a grower if they work. So we'll see what happens. And at the end of the trial, we'll be taking the plots to yield and looking at the yield of seed grade size tubers, and then taking samples for testing with an ELISA technique for the incidence of potato virus YN. And that's the end of the trial. Be repeated in Scotland next year, and we'll put the results together and see what recommendations can be put forward for growers.